Now at 10, a mobile memorial to fallen officers makes its way to the city of Joplin. Plus, Bourbon County, Kansas lands a financial grant to address the issue of food insecurity. And it's Marian Days again in Carthage, and that means a financial boost for the city.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Beyond the Call of Duty is a traveling memorial that pays tribute to fallen officers across the country. This is KOAM News at 10. I'm Tanya Bach. It made a stop today at the Joplin Police Department and features images of Officer Jake Reed and Corporal Ben Cooper. The memorial also features Carthage High School graduate Officer Lane Burns, who died in the line of duty in 2022 as a Bonne Terre, Missouri police officer.
When there is a loss, initially there's a huge outpouring of support. And over a little bit of time, some of that kind of dwindles away. And all the while, the families, friends and families, their lives changed forever that day.
McCarter says they created the traveling memorial so that people all over the country hear fallen officers' stories, see their faces, and support their families. The entire annual trip is 23,000 miles, and today is 59 of 73 with 17,000 miles so far. Meteorologist Lindsay Gaffney joins us now with a first look at weather.
Temperatures now out in Joplin dropping down to mid-80s. However, it still feels like it's about 90 degrees out in Joplin. Humidity is starting to climb up again. We were in the lower to mid 40% range of humidity earlier today. Unfortunately, that's just going to continue to rise over the next couple of days. So we've got high humidity and high temperatures starting today, continuing through Thursday. All right, we'll go ahead and take a look at temperatures across the area. 80 out in Stockton, 85 in Joplin, 88 still in Independence and Yates Center, but now we're all in the 80s, starting to cool down. Unfortunately, only dropping down to the upper 70s today. We don't get a lot of overnight relief from the heat for the next several days. Our low temperature on Wednesday is only dropping down to about 80. So we've got these excessive heat warnings in most of the areas, all counties in Kansas and Oklahoma, and even a heat advisory for a few of our southern counties. I'll have more details for you in just a bit.
All right, thanks, Lindsay. Election officials in Oklahoma can expect to see a higher pay ahead of the November general election. The bill passed in 2023 goes into effect this year, doubling the pay precinct officials receive in a workday. Oklahoma state law requires each precinct to have at least 3 officials, an inspector, a judge, and a clerk. State election board officials say they hope the pay increase not only shows poll workers how important they are, but continue to support recruitment and retention efforts.
A lot of our poll workers are older because they're retired, so they have the time that they can volunteer. And as those workers age out, then we definitely would need some new poll workers.
No experience is required to be a precinct official, but you must work in the county you are registered to vote in. And training is mandatory and will be provided. The Healthy Bourbon County Action Team received a grant of $55,000 to tackle food insecurity in Bourbon County. The grant will be given each year for 3 years and helps the organization give out food to the community. They've helped 400 people in need since 2022 and depend heavily on grants to feed those in need.
Food insecurity does not discriminate with the young, the old, the individuals that are veterans, individuals that are unhoused, or individuals that are housed and just have food insecurity. We're here to help them all.
The organization is hosting a food summit within the next year where residents of Bourbon County can voice their needs. Even though the official start to Marian Days is not until Thursday, it's already starting to look like a small city is growing inside of Carthage, Missouri. Every year, the annual Catholic Vietnamese celebration brings in tens of thousands of visitors to the Maple Leaf City. Guests, the Carthage Chamber president says, should be able to navigate such a large event with surprising ease.
So it can save not only the visitor time so they can get in and get out and get back to their campsite or wherever they're staying, but it just makes it a little bit more convenient. And 45 years, they're a pretty well-oiled machine now.
Well, thousands of the visitors choose to camp, even more stay in local hotels and Airbnbs. And tomorrow on KOAM News at 6, we meet a Carthage woman who opens her home to the cultural experience every year. Well, a big construction project for a major intersection just south of Springfield may pose challenges for drivers due to some unique new traffic patterns. Adam Woodbray has the story.
The busy intersection where Highway 160 and CC meet opens this evening with a unique kind of traffic pattern.
During that time frame, we'll have law enforcement in the area to help manage the traffic while we remove the temporary signals that are currently up and then fire up the long-term permanent signals.
A continuous flow intersection the agency hopes will improve traffic congestion. Here's how it'll work. If you're going south on 160 and want to turn east onto CC, you'll enter a turn lane much sooner than what you do now. You'll pause at a light while the northbound traffic comes to a stop. Then you'll cross over the northbound lanes, then continue forward until you get to CC. Then once the light turns green, you can proceed as normal.
Separating the left turning traffic from the intersection, which removes that conflict point at the intersection. And then the second one is to increase green times.
And after months of work, nearby businesses are welcoming the news that the project is almost finished.
Obviously, there's nothing we can do, and we're just kind of along for the ride.
Carly Schmickel at the Baked Bean Coffee Shop tells me when the project first started, business was a little rocky, but things have gotten better, and with the construction wrapping up soon, she believes the community will be better for it.
We're just being optimistic because it's basically done, so it's been helpful. And so I know it'll just be a lot better for Nixa as a whole.
And though there's still a lot of work scheduled for 160, MoDOT still urges folks to be patient and mindful.
We still have an active work zone out there. Be careful. We want to make sure everybody out on the job and all the drivers that go through this intersection every day get home safe.
Well, permanent lights should have replaced the temporary ones earlier tonight. However, the construction cones will stick around for a while longer. Work on the intersection is expected to wrap up in December. Authorities charge a Newton County deputy with domestic assault. That's coming up. But first, President Biden pitches a proposal for Supreme Court reform. President Biden unveiled a proposal for a major reform to the U.S. Supreme Court, including a code of ethics and term limits. Skylar Henry has the latest.
President Biden spoke at the Lyndon B. Johnson Library in Austin, Texas on Monday about major changes he's proposing for the U.S. Supreme Court.
I'm calling for a constitutional amendment called No One is Above the Law Amendment. We're a nation of laws, not kings and dictators.
Biden cited recent Supreme Court rulings he called extreme, including the overturning of Roe v. Wade and a decision granting partial criminal immunity to ex-presidents.
The court's being used to weaponize an extreme and unchecked agenda.
Among the core components of the president's ideas are an enforceable code of ethics. The 9 justices would be required to disclose all major gifts and travel.
We need a mandatory code of ethics for the Supreme Court, and we need it now.
And Biden's Supreme Court plan includes 18-year term limits for justices. If adopted, the sitting president would nominate a new justice every 2 years as older justices time out.
For him to get to the point where he thinks that the Constitution has to be amended to constrain the Supreme Court is a big deal.
The ideas would need congressional approval, a very tall order with a narrowly divided Senate and a Republican-controlled House.
President Biden and his leftist allies don't like the current composition of the court, so they want to shred the Constitution to change it.
Speaker Mike Johnson called the proposal dead on arrival. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Washington.
Last year, the justices adopted a formal code of ethics amid criticism over undisclosed trips and gifts from wealthy benefactors to some justices, including Clarence Thomas. Authorities arrested Deputy School Resource Officer in Newton County for domestic assault. Neosho police responded to the report over the weekend. They arrested this man, Joseph Childers, an SRO for the Diamond School District and Newton County deputy. Childers has been charged with second-degree domestic assault. He is currently being held in the McDonald County Jail without bond. A little later, we have the rescue story of an Oklahoma couple lost at sea.
And we have alert days due to the heat for the next couple days. We'll talk about it right after the break. Well, temperatures aren't going to be pretty hot for the next couple days. We've got alert days for tomorrow and Wednesday because those are the hottest days on the forecast. Taking a look outside, Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. It's a nice night, but it doesn't cool down much tonight. We've got a few clouds in the area, but overall we're going to remain mostly dry and not as humid, unfortunately. That is not the case for the rest of the week. We've got high humidity, high temperatures, high heat index values. Luckily, no rain tonight. We do have a couple chances of rain due to surface heating tomorrow afternoon, continuing Wednesday and Thursday as well. So we've got these excessive heat warnings. It's all in the hot pink, so all of our counties out in Kansas and Oklahoma, and half our counties out in Missouri as well. That's continuing through Wednesday due to heat index values getting up to about 112 in some areas. Then in that pale pink color, we've got that heat, just a normal heat advisory. That continues all the way through Thursday. Heat index values are not as high, up to about 108. Still, it's going to be dangerous heat for the next couple of days. We're going to take a look. Tomorrow, our forecast shows possibly the heat index values getting up to about 105, 106 in Baxter Springs and Oswego, Parsons, Chanute, 107 in Independence, 108 in Nowata. Some of these areas could get a couple degrees warmer, even make it feel like it's 110 in some of these areas. But actual temperatures are going to be pretty high. 99 in Joplin, 98 in Pittsburgh. Most of the cities in Kansas and Oklahoma are about 100, 101 degrees. So it's going to be pretty hot. Upper 90s for all of our counties, even in those far eastern counties that are typically a little bit cooler. 96 in Cassville, 96 in Monette, and 100 in Stockton. It's going to be really hot, really muggy tomorrow. So we do have some iffy weather conditions. You might not want to be outside in this. Hot and muggy, heat index values possibly getting up to 112. We do have a nice breeze from the south, so it is bringing in that warmer air, but with the breeze, gusts up to 25, 30 miles per hour, especially in the morning, you may feel a little bit better. Like I said, so we've got this heat wave moving in, a nice ridge forming over our area. Due to the surface heating, we've got a few chances of those pop-up thunderstorms Tuesday afternoon. That could be a chance. And then as we move into Wednesday, we've got a shortwave trough forming, so not a large one, but it is bringing some thunderstorms. And you can see them starting to pop up near Kansas, moving into the area in northern Missouri. This is going to be Wednesday night. Depending on the timing that this moves in, if it moves in late Wednesday night or even into Thursday, temperatures could cool off pretty drastically on Thursday, but they do start to cool down by Friday, only down to seasonable temperatures, mid-90s, and not as humid. But we do have that alert day set for Tuesday and Wednesday, 99 on Tuesday, 100 on Wednesday. The overnight lows only dropping down to about 80 degrees, so not a lot of overnight relief from the high temperatures.
Yeah, I mean, even when you have a really hot day that's in the 90s, it's nice to at least know you're going to drop down into the 60s at night, and we're not even getting that.
No, 80s, and it's still going to be pretty muggy, so the next couple of days are really, it's going to be gross, and I don't want to be outside in it. I will try my best to stay indoors.
Try to stay cool, stay hydrated, do what you can. All right, thanks, Lindsay. Well, now you can stay up to date with the latest news, weather, and sports with the KOAM Plus TV streaming app. It's available on Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, Apple TV Plus, and Roku. The player is also available on our news and weather apps as well as our website. Watch live streaming anytime, absolutely free. The KOAM Plus TV streaming app. Well, an Oklahoma couple safe and recovering after going missing while scuba diving off the coast of Texas earlier this week. The couple spent more than a day floating in the water, desperately waiting to be rescued. Alice Jones has the story of their rescue.
People don't survive that and not have a story to tell.
36 hours of searching and 38 hours in the water. Kim and Nathan Maker were floating, waiting for someone to rescue them. The couple was diving off the coast of Texas with a group. A diver who was on that same boat says the others made it to the boat but saw Nathan and Kim were drifting. When they went to get the couple,
The rain was so hard that you couldn't see outside.
A storm hit.
It stormed and the winds were just atrocious. The waves were atrocious.
A huge swell comes in and engulfs Kim and Nathan totally. When the swell rolls out, they're nowhere to be found.
Yet the other divers didn't hesitate to search for their missing friends.
It wasn't like, hey guys, do you have anything better to do tomorrow? It was like, we're staying out and we're looking.
The divers eventually had to leave, unsure of what would happen, and the Coast Guard took over the search. But after a day with no luck, the family says they were losing hope.
We determined that we were probably going to end the search this morning if they didn't find anything last night.
But Nathan and Kim's family says they prayed, and their prayers were answered when Nathan and Kim spotted a plane flying over the Gulf.
So they take their dive flashlights and they start signaling the SOS signal to that plane. That plane saw them.
The Coast Guard sent a ship to rescue the couple just 8 hours before the family says the search would be called off.
You know, it was God performing a miracle using the Coast Guard's eyes and ears and their technology, and that's what saved them at the last minute.
And through the storm and hours of uncertainty, the couple never left each other's side.
Even when the swell came over, they found them, they were together.
That they have a greater purpose, obviously, that God truly did spare them.
Well, the couple are currently in a Texas hospital with jellyfish stings and sunburns. Oh, those jellyfish stings. Family members said Nathan Maker was nearly in a diabetic coma when he was rescued, and both divers are expected to be okay. Still ahead, an update from today's action at the 2024 Olympics in Paris. And the Royals and Cardinals both make moves ahead of tomorrow's MLB trade deadline. John Dales has those stories and more up next.
The 18 and under Patriots from Pittsburgh Post 64 wrap up play in the Kansas American Legion State Championship this morning. The Patriots earned a spot in the title game after going 4-1 in tournament play. But Post 64 falls in the state championship 9-4. Post 421 from Topeka. They're the only team that beat Pitt in the tournament, and they do it twice. Post 64 Patriots wrap up the summer with a 17-12 record. They finished the AAA state tournament with wins over Chanute Post 70, Leavenworth Post 23, and Great Bend Post 180. The Major League Baseball trade deadline less than 24 hours away. Both the Cardinals and the Royals make some major roster changes today. We'll begin with the Cardinals. They make a big splash. 3-team deal involving the Dodgers and the White Sox. St. Louis gets Chicago right-handed pitcher Eric Fetty, along with former Cardinal outfielder Tommy Pham. He makes his return to St. Louis. The Redbirds, all they had to give up in that deal is utility player Tommy Edman, who's only at bats in 2024, been as a designated hitter in AA Springfield, while rehabbing from a wrist injury after getting surgery in the offseason. Cardinals with a game tonight as well. They're at home against the Rangers. They lose 6-3. The record since the All-Star break falls to 4-6. They're back at it at Busch Stadium again tomorrow against Texas. Andre Palante gets the loss on the mound tonight for the Redbirds. Over in the American League, Royals beat the White Sox 8-5. This one back and forth all night long. Kansas City was leading 2-1, then allowed 4 unanswered runs to score from the 5th through the 7th. White Sox take a 5-2 lead, but then Kansas City scored 6 runs in the 8th, highlighted by a grand slam from Bobby Witt Jr. that gave KC the lead. The Royals also make a move today ahead of tomorrow's deadline. Coincidentally, it's with the team the Cardinals lost to, Texas. Kansas City sends away left-handed pitcher Walter Pennington. He's only appeared in 1 major league game in his career. That was this season. In return, they get Michael Lorenzen, 10-year veteran who has pitched for 5 different teams over the past 5 seasons. He's got a 3.81 ERA with the Rangers this year, and he threw a no-hitter as a member of the Phillies last August. 2024 Olympics officially began over the weekend with opening ceremonies on Friday. Plenty more action continues today in Paris. Here's a couple highlights from the day's action. Team USA women's basketball dominates Japan. That's the 56th consecutive win for the Americans in Olympic play. U.S. men's gymnastics wins the bronze medal. It's the first time since '08 that they've medaled. On the beach volleyball court, former NBA player Chase Budinger helps lead the U.S. to a win over France. American fencer Nick Itkin wins bronze, and the U.S. women's rugby team advances to the semifinals with a win over Great Britain. Back to Kansas City. The Royals, though, with their win over the White Sox today, the White Sox have the worst record in Major League Baseball, but this is still kind of a mind-blowing stat. 11 games they've played each other. Kansas City's won 10 of them this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, never give up, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, what a great 8th inning.
Yeah, very much so.
Pretty cool. Thanks, John. That's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this. Well, tomorrow is National Cheesecake Day, the perfect time to enjoy a slice of one of the world's favorite desserts. The first recipe goes all the way back to ancient Greece as a special dessert served to athletes. Perfect with the 2024 Olympics in Paris. So whether you like your slice with a classic graham cracker crust with fruits and berries, coffee flavors, or decadent chocolate, this is the day to indulge. Be sure to take advantage of deals being offered near you in celebration of the day. I love cheesecake.
Oh,
Yeah, I do too.
Favorites.
I like fruity cheesecake too. Like
I'm like-
a little bit of fruit on it.
Yeah.
I'm just like a plain, just a normal
Classic.
cheesecake. Yeah. Well, temperatures tomorrow and Wednesday, we've got alert days set due to the high heat, high humidity. That continues through Thursday, but Tuesday and Wednesday are going to be the hottest days on our forecast.
All right, final sports note.
The Oklahoma City Thunder are coming to the 4 states tomorrow. They're holding a youth camp at Carthage. We're going to have a lot more on that tomorrow.
Ooh, that's exciting. Well, thanks for watching. We will see you tomorrow. Have a great night and an even better Tuesday.
Closed captioning on